while a lot of the stuff I would normally go to the cinema to see is kind of like the big franchise stuff, the Star Wars, the MCU, the DCU, you get the idea. There are certain films that I didn't necessarily think I would see at the cinema, but I was convinced to check them out, and I really did enjoy them. Films such as The Martian, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, Arrival, and two of my favourites being The Greatest Showman and Knives Out. Well, today I ended up seeing another film that I don't necessarily think I would have chosen just to pick out, but I ended up seeing it and I ended up really enjoying it. And that is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And this movie, I'm just going to put it out there, this movie is mad. It's just absolutely mad. Constant flashes at you, but at the same time, once you've seen it, you do kind of appreciate it. And I do think it is a really good film. Now, the film focuses around a woman named Evelyn Kwan Wang, played by Michelle Yeoh. Now, she runs a somewhat failing laundromat with her husband, Waymond Wang, played by Ke Huy Quan. And she has a lot on her plate to deal with. Namely, first of all, she has to deal with the fact that her husband suddenly wants to divorce her due to her cold demeanour. She also got her daughter, played by Stephanie Su, her daughter Joy Wang, played by Stephanie Su, who is trying to come out to her mother as gay and introduces her girlfriend, Becky Schreger, played by Tally Medal, but of course Evelyn isn't that accepting at first. So aside from her husband wanting to divorce her and her daughter trying to come out as gay, she also is also trying to deal with her rather overbearing father, Gong Gong, played by James Hong, and a rather scary IRS officer named Deirdre Bo Beardra, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. And things only get stranger when her husband suddenly tells her that he's a traveller from an alternate universe, and then just a day going to the IRS to try and get their taxes straightened out turns into a mad adventure across the multiverse. And I really do mean mad. This movie goes full on throughout the multiverse. We've got universes where everyone is pretty much human except for their fingers, which are hot dogs. You've got a universes where they are cartoons, universes where they're seemingly piñatas hanging from trees, a universe which is essentially a Ratatouille parody, only it's with a raccoon instead of a rat, and even a universe where they're just sentient rocks. But it turns out there is a point to all this, as another version of Waymond inhabits his body and says that he's kind of like a freedom fighter from his own universe, and in this version of the multiverse, travel in a sense. In order to kind of travel slightly, you can, if you focus and have these kind of implants in your ears, that you can bring in certain characteristics from other universes. You can adapt them into your head to help you fight back. For example, all Evelyn has to do is concentrate, and she can pick up a version of herself that knows Kung Fu and use it to help fight back. Who are they fighting back against? Well, it's seemingly an alternate version of their daughter, Joy, named Jubu Tupaki. And basically what she is trying to do is... Basically, in her universe, Evelyn constantly pushed her to improve herself and get all these abilities, and she ultimately went mad with it after seeing all of the multiverse, and has now created something that she hopes will destroy the multiverse, which she refers to as something like the Loaded Bagel. And she explains it that what happens when you put everything on a bagel. And I don't just mean the toppings, the sesame seeds, the cream cheese, the smoked salmon. I mean like the report cards, the cars, the molecules, just everything piled onto one bagel. And that supposedly creates a device capable of ending the entire multiverse. So it's up to Evelyn to try and find a way to put a stop to it. And as I said, this film is just mad, but in a way, it's relatable. That's the strange thing about the film. I found it relatable. I mean, the multiverse is a concept that I've loved for ages. I mean, it's appeared in stuff like Doctor Who, The Flash, Red Dwarf, Family Guy, the last 3 Spider-Man movies, Into the Spider-Verse, Far From Home and No Way Home, and of course most recently in the Doctor Strange follow-up, Multiverse of Madness. And here, as I said, they do it very well, and when they go to each of the universes, you do grow to care for them. And while at the same time, you can understand what Evelyn's going through. They make her a very relatable character. I mean, she's having to deal with everything in her life all at once, trying to cling to any aspect of control that she can. I mean, and just everything is coming down at once. Her divorce, her daughter coming out, her trying to deal with her taxes. Everything is just piling up, and you can kind of understand the problems that she's going through. I mean, even just when the Jobu reveals herself, and it's explained to Evelyn that she may have noticed things not quite right in her universe, such as the coffee tasting a little bit different, people's attitude are changing, and she seems to think, well, okay, that actually explains a lot of things, why things are going wrong. And she goes like, that also explains why my daughter has been acting out, why she hasn't been talking to me, why she's suddenly gay. And to which Juby just turns around and goes, so let me get this straight. All of these things are piling up, all of them are making sense, and that's your main priority, that I'm gay. But at the same time, I can't necessarily talk for this particular aspect of the film, but given that there is kind of a lot of stigma around certain cultures being gay and the kind of effects that has, you do kind of understand why they're doing all of this. I mean, even towards the end of the film, when Evelyn has kind of come around and accepted Joy as being gay and accepted her girlfriend, even then Joy is still not entirely satisfied. She storms out of the laundromat and then says to her, yeah, okay, you're getting it, but you're still not entirely understanding. You're not accepting me. Like, you understand what it means, but you still haven't accepted me, and maybe it's just best we go our separate ways. And I admit, I really like that part. Just like, okay, yeah, you're working on it, you're understanding, but you're still not accepting it. And I do feel they reach a rather good conclusion with it. Also, I'll admit I didn't recognise Jamie Lee Curtis here. I mean, the last thing I saw her in was Knives Out, which, okay, that is also a completely different set of film, but then seeing her in this and seeing her go through her own arc, just at first someone who seems so cold and calculating, but then in another one of the universes they check out, when Evelyn asks her, what made you change your mind about giving us another chance? She was like, well, your husband. Like, why? She's like, you told me what you were going through, and I get it. I've been through the same thing. And just seeing all these things come together. I mean, even just a scene where we're in an alternate universe where life never developed and they're sentient rocks, that was surprisingly welcome. But the film does bombard you with a lot of images and stuff all at once. In fact, I believe there's even an epilepsy seizure warning at the beginning of the film, just in case, for anyone who did see it. But I will admit, just having that one just quiet moment where we're rocks, surprisingly it was welcome. And this, basically, to sum all this up, it's a film that throws a lot at you, but you'll find it really relatable. You'll find the right stuff funny that should be funny, like running down the street after an exterminator's truck with a raccoon on the back. You find that funny, and you find a battle up against various people with a giant black bagel in the background. You find it funny, but at the same time you find it relatable, and I do think that it does draw to an epic conclusion. This is an indie film that I didn't expect to see, but I'm glad I saw it, and I would advise you to see it if you get the chance. I really hope they don't turn this into a franchise, though, but you know what? For an indie film, it's a great one, and I think you should check it out. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I give it a thumbs up. Anyway, until next time, see ya.